Friends, I'm getting blasted with calls from my real estate agents about how they're concerned about this new NAR settlement, how they're going to get paid, and more importantly, how are they going to explain this to their clients when it comes to getting a loan and their compensation agreement. Today, we're going to be breaking that down. So we are in the new normal. There's going to be a new way to do business, and there's a lot of concerns going on, and I wanted to kind of talk about how this new process is going to work. And I think now more than ever, you have to work with a professional mortgage lender who knows what they're doing, who knows how to talk to the clients, who knows how to break down all the numbers, and more importantly, knows how to sell you. So we're going to be talking about that today. So first off, let's talk about the different ways the compensation agreement is going to work for the client. First off, the number one thing is this word here, no more commission talk. We just did a training with all my employees here, any client-facing employees, that listen, we no longer are allowed to say commissions when it comes to realtor compensation. We're only allowed to use the word compensation because that's what it is. You're getting compensated for what you do, the enormous amount of work that you do. So let's talk about the agreement. So when you get the agreement signed, you're going to have agreement with a property, or it could be a broad-based agreement. And your agreement's going to be 2.5%, 3%, whatever it is. If they're getting financing, when they talk to us, there's going to be really 4 different ways that this could play out. Number one is obviously the norm, which is seller paid compensation. And that's how it's been forever. And when we talk to clients, we're going to be saying the same thing. You know, for the last 50 years, this is how it's been done. In fact, before they took it off the MLS, about 97% of all listings included compensation for the buyer's agent. So this is the normal, this is what the listing agents are going to do. So most of the time, over 90%, seller is going to pay it. So there's really nothing to worry about here. This is the status quo. So number 2 would be adding it to the sales price. So the way that would work is, let's just say the seller wants $500,000 for the property. You're going to submit the offer at $515,000 with a 3% compensation. We would then do our loan, so our 80% loan off of the $515,000, and we would finance that. Now the difference in payment, if we talk about, say, we're just going to use an 80% loan on a $500,000 house as an example, the difference between payment between just a normal transaction and adding it to the price, again on a $500,000 purchase price, would be $110 a month. So if we add $15,000 to the sales price, it's going to increase the payment $110. Now, obviously, in this scenario, we have to make sure that the house is going to appraise. So we're going to be working with you as the agent to see what the comps are, and we're going to want to make sure that there's comps to support it. Another thing there is you're going to want to make sure you work with a lender who has their own private appraisal panel with the top-rated appraisers. It's very important you have solid appraisers. You know, not people from out of town coming into the market and doing appraisals at dirt cheap just to get the deal. You want to have the best of the best local appraisers appraising these properties. Otherwise, you're going to have issues. Third option, finance it into the loan. So let's just say the comps are $500,000. You know, you're not going to get the appraisal at $515,000. So what do we do in this case? On an 80% loan, we can finance it into the loan with no mortgage insurance, no change to interest rate. So we would finance it into the loan. We would add $15,000 to the $400,000 loan. So we would finance $415,000. This would increase the payment $100 from, again, just the status quo. So whether you finance into the price or finance the loan, it's about the same. It's going to be about $100 a month. Now, not all loans work with this scenario. This only works on a conventional loan. It works on some non-QM loans, but if we're getting into any like VA 100% financing or FHAs, you can't roll it into the loan. So that option would not work. The fourth option is the buyer is going to pay. So the buyer is going to have the cash to come up with your compensation. Or it could be a mix of any one of these. Maybe the seller's paying 1% and the client has to pay 2%. Or maybe we finance into seller pays 1%. So it could be a mix of any one of these. Now, if the buyer's paying it, it's very important for the lender to know, because as a lender, we have to calculate their cash to close and reserves if they need them for their loan. So if all of a sudden they have to come up with $15,000, we have to make sure that they have the assets to cover that. You also want to make sure you work with a lender who has good strategies for this. So if they have to come up with the cash, what are some other strategies to come up with the money? So those are the 4 ways that this could play out. Now, at the end of the day, what's really important is going to be the trust. It's the triangle for trust. It's the edification of the lender and you. Some of these situations are going to be a lot of realtors work cold leads. Cold leads being like a Zillow, Google Lead, any of these other type of lead gen systems, or maybe it's just somebody you just don't know. And so it's going to be a tougher conversation to be like, they want to look at this property down the road, but hey, listen, before we look at that property, I have to have you sign this commission agreement. And by the way, you also have to get pre-approved. And so when they talk to the lender, it's important for that lender to help sell that buyer's brokerage agreement. What is the value of the agent? Why are you signing the agreement? We're your advocate. So use us as a tool to get these clients in. Now, at the end of the day, the great thing is that as you get these agreements signed, these are your clients and you're protected. So ultimately, I think for a lot of agents, this is going to be a really great thing. I also think it's going to protect a lot of agents against taking smaller commissions because you now have an agreement, maybe at the higher commission. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to that trust. So let's talk about it. So what we use here with my team is called the triangle for trust. Triangle for trust, it's very simple. We got the buyer here, got the realtor here, and we got the lender here. The way the triangle for trust works is that when we talk to the client, we are a third-party company. We're not affiliated with a real estate company. We're completely third party. When they call us, we immediately edify you. And how that sounds is this. Oh, cool. Hey, Adrian. So how did you meet Jamie, your realtor? Oh, I clicked on something online and then it kind of scheduled me with her. She seems really nice. Oh yeah. So, just so you know, Jamie's one of the best. She's been in the market over 20 years. She has negotiated some amazing deals. Not only that, but her communication is on point. And by the way, she works with one of the largest teams and brokerages in the county, and they're going to be able to find you the best absolute deal. You are in amazing hands with Jamie. So I have now edified Jamie. Jamie also did the same thing, and she edified us. So she edified us, we edified her. So listen, if Jamie trusts us and we trust Jamie, you should trust us. It's a triangle for trust. It goes in all directions. It is so important that we use the power of edification in the triangle for trust to help these clients understand that they are getting a good deal and they're working with an excellent agent. That's just one piece of it. The second piece of it is having the conversation with the client about the buyer's brokerage agreement, because that's going to come up in conversation. The client may ask us, oh, by the way, the agent sent us over this agreement. What are your thoughts on it? How does this affect my financing? It says in here that if the seller doesn't pay, I have to pay. Is that true? Is there any way around that? And then that's where us as the lender have to go through these different options and go back and keep selling that agent and the value of the agent. The value of the agent is enormous and they need to work with a buyer's agent. And so we'll go through all the value propositions. We have about 50 of them, and we'll go through and we'll re-solidify the value. And we'll also re-solidify the fact that, listen, 97% of the time, it's going to be status quo. It's going to be status quo. So there's really nothing to worry about. We need to ease the tension and ease the concerns. So there's one other thing I'd like to point out, and that's when we're going in for the offer. So the agent gets the agreement signed, we get the client pre-approved, they find a property, they love it, and we're going in for the offer. So the agent's going to go ahead and submit the offer, and most of the time it's going to be submitted as the seller paying the commission. But it's important to have that pre-offer call. That way there maybe be a circumstance where maybe the client wants to pay the real estate commission because it's a multiple offer situation. So we just have to have a pre-offer call to make sure that we're all on the same page before that offer goes in, that we know how the deal is being structured, and if that seller is not paying anything or the deal comes back like that, we know that what plan A, B, and C are. So at the end of the day, use your lender and work with a lender that you guys are going to be an amazing team to get these clients serviced and get these deals closed and to make sure your compensation is protected. There's no better advocate than the lender for the buyer's agent. Us lenders, all of our business, if you're a purchase lender, it comes from buyer's agents. It's buyer's agents, past clients, current clients that refer us. That's how we build our business. We understand the value, the true value of a buyer's agent, because we see it on the other side. When a client goes to the listing agent directly and they don't have a buyer's agent, we see the complete disaster that it is at the end of the day. We see how the inspection comes back and they can't negotiate anything to be fixed or any price off or any concessions. We see last minute power struggles contractually at closing, and then the client has to hire an attorney to fix it. There's a lot that goes into it, and we see it. So use us as your advocate, because we will help sell you, because we know the value. And we can talk to the client as that third party, edify you, and make them feel comfortable. Listen, I hope this helps. I hope this provides a little bit of a clarity as to the different ways that we can work the compensation, the ways that we can communicate. And listen, if you have any questions, if there's anything I can do, I know this is a tough time. Listen, our business went through this like 10 years ago. It was the same thing. Everybody was freaking out. So listen, if there's anything I can do to chat with you, ease some tension, anything I can do for you at all, please reach out. God bless you. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.